There are moments in life that feel like a quiet pause in the middle of everything. You're going about your day, living your routine, when suddenly something or someone makes you stop. Maybe it's a stranger who feels oddly familiar. Maybe it's a friend who once made you feel alive, but now leaves you feeling drained. Maybe it's someone new, and there's this deep sense, hard to explain, that their presence means something more. And in that stillness, a question begins to echo within you. Is this person really meant to be in my life? We often ask this about romantic partners, especially when we're uncertain about love. But truthfully, this question applies to every kind of connection, friendships, mentors, coworkers, even those we call soulmates. People come into our lives in many forms. Some stay, some leave, some come back. But every now and then, we're faced with a deeper kind of wondering. We don't just want to know if they like us or fit into our lives. We want to know if they truly belong with us, if they're aligned with who we are becoming. Carl Jung, a psychologist who spent most of his life exploring the hidden parts of the human mind, believed that these moments aren't random. In fact, he believed that nothing in our lives is random at all. He suggested that the people who show up in our lives, especially those we feel strongly connected to, are often reflections of something going on within us. They are not just people passing through. They are messengers, mirrors, sometimes even guides. You've probably experienced this before, even if you didn't have the words for it at the time. You meet someone and something just clicks. Maybe they feel familiar. Maybe they seem to see you in a way no one else does. It could be instant, or it might build slowly over time. But it's undeniable. You feel something, and it feels meaningful. Jung called this kind of connection synchronicity. It's when your inner world, your thoughts, emotions, dreams, lines up with something happening in the outer world. It's a sense that the universe, or life itself, is sending you a signal, a little nudge, a whisper that says, pay attention. This matters. But as powerful as those feelings can be, they can also be confusing. Not every intense connection is healthy. Not every magnetic attraction leads to something good. So how do you know the difference? How do you tell if someone's presence in your life is a blessing or a lesson? The answer starts within. It begins with how well you know yourself. Jung believed that our relationships are like mirrors. The people we're drawn to and the people we struggle with can reveal things about ourselves that we haven't fully seen or understood. If you find yourself repeating the same painful patterns in relationships, or if you often feel unseen, unloved, or not enough, it's not just bad luck. It's a sign that something inside you is asking to be healed, understood, or transformed. Think about the people in your life right now. Are there relationships where you feel like you have to work hard just to be accepted? Do you feel like you're always walking on eggshells, trying not to say the wrong thing? Or maybe you're giving your best to someone who never truly gives it back. Those dynamics aren't coincidences. They are reflections of what's going on beneath the surface, often in parts of us we don't fully see. When someone is truly right for you, something feels different. It's not that everything is perfect all the time. Real relationships still have their ups and downs. But deep inside, you won't feel like you're in a constant struggle to be loved, respected, or seen. You won't feel like you need to wear a mask or be someone you're not just to keep the connection alive. Instead, the relationship flows. There's a sense of ease, even when things are hard. You can be fully yourself without fear of rejection. You feel accepted, not because the other person has placed you on a pedestal, but because they truly see you. And that kind of seeing can only happen when you've started seeing yourself. Jung talked about something called individuation. It's the process of becoming the most authentic version of who you really are. It's about removing the layers we've picked up over the years, the expectations, the fears, the habits of pretending, and returning to our true self. When you're walking this path of self-awareness and growth, something begins to shift. You stop chasing the wrong people. You stop holding on to relationships that only hurt you. You no longer beg to be loved, because now you know your worth. And when that happens, the right people naturally begin to appear, not because they're magically summoned, but because you're finally able to recognize them. You're able to choose them with clear eyes and an open heart. And you're also strong enough to walk away from people who no longer fit into the life you're building. But the truth is, this process can be painful. Sometimes we hold on to relationships that have expired long ago. We keep people in our lives out of habit, fear, or hope that they'll change. We tell ourselves that if we just love them more, if we just try harder, maybe things will be different. But deep down, we know when something isn't right. We feel it in our gut, in our body, in our tiredness, in our sadness. It takes courage to listen to that inner knowing. Jung believed that if you ignore what your unconscious is trying to show you, it will find other ways to speak, through anxiety, through exhaustion, through emotional, or even physical pain. It will keep creating the same situations until you finally stop and ask, why do I keep attracting this kind of relationship? What is life trying to show me? It's not punishment. It's a wake-up call. And that call is leading you back to yourself. The moment you stop chasing people who make you feel small and instead start choosing the people who bring peace, clarity, and truth into your life, everything changes. You begin to experience relationships that don't drain you. Relationships where love doesn't feel like a game or a test you have to pass. Connections that aren't about control or performance, but about mutual growth and freedom. It's important to understand that not every meaningful connection is meant to last forever. Some people are here to teach us, to help us grow, and then to move on. And that's okay. Just because something ends doesn't mean it failed. Some of the most powerful relationships in your life might only last a season, but their impact will stay with you forever. And others, they will stay. Quietly, steadily, not because you beg them to, but because your souls recognize each other. And there is nothing forced about it. You won't have to convince them of your worth. You won't have to perform or prove. You'll just be, and that will be enough. But before you can experience that kind of love, you have to be willing to ask the hard questions, to look at the patterns, to notice what keeps repeating, to take responsibility for the energy you're carrying into your relationships. Because until you do that, you'll keep attracting the same kind of connection over and over again without understanding why. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. That means we need to bring awareness to the parts of ourselves that have been acting silently in the background, our beliefs, our fears, our wounds. Because only then can we begin to choose differently. So here's the real secret. The goal is not to find someone who completes you. It's to become so whole within yourself that you attract someone who complements you, not out of need, but out of alignment. When you love yourself, not in a shallow way, but in a deep, honest, compassionate way, you stop looking for someone else to fill your emptiness. And ironically, that's when the most fulfilling relationships begin to show up. So if you've ever felt like someone entered your life at exactly the right moment, if their presence brought healing, clarity, or even necessary discomfort that pushed you to grow, don't ignore it. That's not an accident. That's your life speaking to you. We live in a world that often tells us to look outside for answers, for love, for validation. But the most important journey you'll ever take is the one that leads you inward. That's where the truth is. That's where peace lives. That's where the right relationships begin. And it all starts with one brave, simple question. Is this person a reflection of my healing or of my wounding? When you begin to answer that honestly, everything will begin to shift. There are moments in life when we're standing in front of two doors. One feels familiar. It might bring pain, but at least we know what to expect. The other is uncertain. It holds newness, change, and the unknown. Most people choose the first door because predictability feels safer than risking what we don't understand. But the truth is that second door, the one we're most afraid to walk through, is often where peace and real transformation are waiting. Change can feel scary. It forces us to leave behind habits, people, and versions of ourselves that once felt like home. And yet, staying in the same place, repeating the same emotional patterns, and hoping for different outcomes only keeps us stuck. If you truly want to experience a love that brings you peace, you have to be willing to walk into the unknown. You can't keep waiting for something to change in your life while continuing to show up the same way. You can't wish for a relationship based on love while still holding on to parts of yourself that reject love when it tries to get close. Carl Jung once said that before we can find the right person, we have to become the kind of person who would naturally attract that connection. That requires honesty. It means being willing to look at ourselves, even the parts we'd rather avoid, the insecurities, the fears, the defense mechanisms. These are the pieces of ourselves that keep us stuck in the same relationship dynamics over and over again. Take a moment and reflect. Think about the relationships that have left a lasting impact on you. The ones that hurt, the ones that confused you, the ones that felt good at first but slowly fell apart. What patterns do you see? What emotions keep resurfacing? What have you been trying to heal through your connections with other people? This is an important question because the healing you're searching for through someone else can only truly happen within you. No one else can fix what's broken inside you. No one can love you into wholeness. And if you haven't yet given yourself the love, attention, and understanding you're looking for, then no one else will be able to give it to you either, not in a lasting way. When the right person comes into your life, you'll feel it, not because they create chaos or confusion, but because they bring calm. You'll feel safe, not small. They'll encourage your growth, not make you afraid of losing them. But to recognize someone like that when they show up, you need to be in a place where you're no longer choosing love from fear. Fear of being alone, fear of not being enough, fear of starting over. The relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship in your life. When you begin to really know yourself, when you accept and love who you are without needing someone else to validate it, the right people start to appear naturally. You don't have to chase them. You don't have to prove your worth. The connection simply flows. So if you've ever asked yourself, how do I know if someone is the right person for me? Start by asking, am I the right person for myself? Because only when you're clear on who you are and what you truly deserve can you recognize what's good for you. Until then, your relationships will likely reflect your wounds more than your wisdom. Many people misunderstand what relationships are meant to be. They think they're supposed to fix them, complete them, or distract them from their pain. But relationships are not a way to fill emotional voids. They are mirrors, constantly reflecting back what we carry inside. And often, we attract people who match the energy we're putting out, whether that energy comes from self-love or self-doubt. You might have met someone who felt perfect at first. Maybe their presence calmed you, made you feel seen, even brought you clarity when you needed it most. But over time, things started to shift. The connection began to feel uneasy. They said or did things that didn't sit right with you. Still, you tried to ignore it because you didn't want to lose them. But in those moments, your intuition was already speaking to you. Jung believed that intuition is a deep voice from the unconscious. It doesn't rely on logic or facts, but it knows the truth. Your mind can convince you to stay in situations that aren't right for you. It can justify pain. It can explain away red flags. But your body, your heart, your gut, They know. And when something doesn't feel right, even if you can't explain why, it's important to listen. A healthy relationship doesn't make you feel like you need to walk on eggshells. It doesn't make you feel like you need to change who you are just to be accepted. One of the clearest signs that someone is truly right for you is that their presence brings you peace. And peace is often quiet. It doesn't scream for your attention. It just is. A lot of people confuse intensity with love. They think that the highs and lows, the drama, the emotional roller coaster must mean the love is real. But love is not meant to be a battlefield. True connection doesn't come with constant struggle. It's steady. It's respectful. It's gentle in its power. It challenges you to grow without asking you to lose yourself. If you look back on your past relationships, chances are you'll remember times when you ignored your gut. When someone showed you exactly who they were, but you held on anyway. You told yourself they would change, or that you just needed to be more patient, more understanding. But often, what keeps us stuck is not the relationship itself. It's our fear of being alone, of starting over, of admitting that something we wanted so badly is not right for us. Jung would say that when we attract the same kind of painful relationship over and over again, it's not random. It's our unconscious trying to heal an old wound by repeating it in a new form. And sometimes, the people who come into our lives aren't meant to stay. They're not the one in a romantic sense. They're mirrors, meant to show us what still needs healing. There's a kind of magic in this though, because once you start to see relationships this way, everything changes. You stop blaming others for how they made you feel, and you start asking, what was this meant to teach me? That's when healing begins. If someone comes into your life and challenges you to grow, pushes you to face fears, and makes you more honest with yourself, without making you feel like you need to betray who you are, that's a connection that's serving your evolution. But if you feel like you're constantly drained, anxious, confused, or at war with your own spirit, that's not love. That's a sign to step back and reevaluate. You shouldn't feel like you have to chase love. You shouldn't feel like you're the only one trying. If you feel like you're stuck in a loop, constantly trying to make a relationship work that's never truly worked, ask yourself, am I choosing this because it's love or because I'm afraid of being alone? True love doesn't ask you to sacrifice your sense of self. It doesn't demand that you prove your worth over and over again. Real love honors who you are. It supports your dreams. It respects your boundaries. It doesn't make you question your value. When you find that kind of love, it won't feel like a dramatic movie scene. It'll feel like coming home. It'll feel like ease. You'll be able